What's up, y'all? I'm out here at the range, as you can see back behind me, on another sunny day. Temperature hadn't got too bad out here yet. It's still pretty early. It's supposed to get around 80, but with that sun out already, this humidity's already getting up there. We've had rain, as y'all know, I'm sure, for probably about 2 weeks straight, so it feels swampy out here. But I did get an early start to try to knock some testing out before it got too bad out here, and this one right here should be some interesting 5.7 by 28. So I've got the jelly contraption set up hard at work out here with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now I've only done one test so far in these, and it was a 9mm test. Really good test, so I'll leave a link above if y'all hadn't seen that one. Plenty of room, of course, to get this right here done. Like I always mention, I use a heavy clothing barrier that's got a layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And again, what we got here is some more 5.7 by 28. Now those of y'all who watch my channel much know that I'm not the biggest fan of 5.7 by 28. I don't think it's a terrible round by any means, but I'm not the biggest fan. I think you can do far better than this. It does have its little specific use case, tactical uses that everybody likes to point to, but I just think that's very impractical. I'm not going to get into that, but long story short, I'm not the biggest fan, but I know a lot of people out there are. So what we got for this one is not a new projectile, but it is a fairly new loading. I think it's been out for maybe 4 or 5 months, something like that. We're looking at the Hornady Black loaded with the 40 grain VMAX. So again, 40 grain VMAX is the projectile, nothing new. You know, FN's got their own 40 grain VMAX load. I think maybe somebody else does too. As far as the cartridge, you're looking at it here, no nickel plating or anything. You can see it's got that VMAX projectile. This time they've used a red tip on it. You can see here the FN loaded version, it's got the blue tip. So just a matter of that insert being a different color. Otherwise, they're the same projectile. Now the ballistic info on this is saying 1,810 feet per second at the muzzle, and looking that up, that's from a 4.8-inch barrel. So the 5.7 critical defense I tested not long ago was the same velocity rating, 1810 out of the same barrel length, and we actually hit over that 1810 out of the short barrel from that critical defense. Hopefully this gives us some similar performance, because I think that critical defense was some of the better 5.7 rounds I've personally tested. This VMAX, I got a feeling, is going to give us a whole lot more fragmentation. That's just the nature of VMAX in general. But as far as what we testing these out of, it's the same things I always use for 5.7. It's the only 2 things I've got chambered in 5.7. For the shorty there, we've got the PSA Rock 5.7 with the 4.7-inch barrel. And then for the long one here, we've got the FN PS90 with the 16-inch barrel. So again, I'm not the biggest fan of 5.7 in general, but this should be interesting to see how it kind of compares to that critical defense. So let's get it all set up and see what happens. All right, let's see how fast this stuff's moving. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each barrel length, starting with this Rock first. Now remember, the box is saying 1810. I wrote down what I got from that critical defense last time. For this Rock, the average was 1827. So be interesting to see if it does the same thing that did. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with this lab radar, like I always mention, you're gonna get multiple velocity readings. The large numbers at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got the others set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Let's see what we get here. We're looking for 1810. Really, we're looking for in the 1820s if we want to match that CD. 1867. 1858. 1823. 1838. And 1867, so we had a couple dip a little bit low, but that's some good velocity right there. Let's check out the average. All right, so these VMAX seem a little bit spicier than that CD did, at least on this day under these conditions. We had a 5-round average of 1851. The extreme spread was 44 with a 19.5 standard deviation, so it did open up there. We had a couple, 2 or 3 that actually dipped a little bit low. But even those lows were above the box velocity, so I guess you can't really knock it too hard for that. So with that velocity, that should at least put us over 300 foot-pounds of energy. Let's reset it and check out what the PS90 does. All right, let's see what this 16-inch barrel does for it. I looked back on this one with the CD, it was a 2310 average, so I'm kind of expecting this to be faster since it was faster out of the Rock. Let's see what happens here. 2323, 2307, 2304, 2303, And 2303 again, so not as fast as that CD out of this longer barrel. Let's check out the average. All right, I take that back. We're pretty much exactly the same as that critical defense was through the 16-inch. Our 5-round average was 2308 and it was 2310 with the CD. So right there at the same. Extreme spread not bad at 20 and an 8.3 standard deviation. So definitely moving on out from that 16-inch barrel. So 2308 there, and if you remember out the rock, it was 1851. So you talking about 457 feet per second difference. That's a huge, huge difference right there. And it's definitely going to equate to something different in the gel. I suspect it's just going to be more fragmentation, a shorter penetration with that longer barrel, just because of what VMAX is. But unless something really unexpected happens in the gel, I don't think, in my opinion, it's going to be as good as that CD. But let's get everything reset, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's redhead jelly time. I'm gonna send one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with this rock first. Again, I think both of these are gonna fragment all the pieces. We're probably looking at, I would guess, a little short of 12 inches for both of these. I think last time the CD went 15 inches from this rock, but I don't think we're gonna see that here. All right, should have been good placement down there. Let me go see what I got. All right, y'all, I am very surprised to see what I'm seeing down there out of that thing. That is not what I expected at all. It got some fragmentation, but for the most part, it looks like it held together pretty good. So who knows? Let's see what this one right here does. I don't know. This one right here may do what I was expecting. All right, should have been another good one right there. Let's go check these things out. All right, let's check out what we got down here, y'all. Really surprising what I'm looking at. Now, the PS90 is starting to get to what I kind of expected, a lot more fragmentation from it. But that 5.7, even moving 1800 plus FPS, not nearly as much fragmentation as I was expecting from a VMAX. Now, that being said, you did absolutely get some fragmentation. As you can see, again, this is the one from the 5.7. Comes in, immediate energy transfer right here within the first 4 inches or so. Very nice disruption. You get some fragmentation there. You lost your little insert right here. This mess right here has definitely got a good bit of fragmentation. Some more right here, little bits of lead right there, little bits right there, and then some more right there. And then it dumps the core out of the jacket. You can see your jacket's left behind right there. The core keeps on trucking probably about 2.5 inches into this second block, and there you can see it sitting. Decent little chunk left, but again, it did lose quite a bit. And then of course under that is the PS90. Again, you can see a difference right here, no doubt about it. Bigger area of disruption, a lot more fragmentation. Even the inserts broke up into more pieces. Bunch of lead right here, lots of lead all the way through this section right here, all the way through, even little bits of lead right there. And this one actually did not separate the jacket and the core, and it actually barely touched the end of this 16-inch block, and we're looking at some pretty decent looking frag span, as I call it. And as far as the penetration, this one on the top from the 5.7, it actually left the jacket right there at 14.25 and then kept on going out to 18 inches. So would it have kept going to 18 inches if it didn't leave the jacket? I mean, that's just a pure guess. And then down below that again from the PS90, like I say, this one is at exactly 16 inches. So really nice penetration, much more than I expected from both of these. And then here's your closer look again on the top 5.7, the bottom, the PS90. You can see there, they look really similar, but that PS90, no doubt, a whole lot more fragmentation. And you can see there just a ton of lead and more disruption. As we follow them through, there's the jacket from the 5.7, and then there's the bulk of the projectile. And then if we back up a little bit, there's the one from your PS90. And then looking from the top here, this is a little tricky. I'm gonna have to kind of do the upside down thing again, but as you can see there, really nice energy transfer and disruption right within that first 3-4 inches or so, and then nice penetration. All right, let's check out these projectiles. I will have to say there wasn't as big of a fragmentation difference as I first thought as I was getting these out of the gel. There's a lot more from this 5.7 than I originally thought. I still believe there's a pretty decent amount more from this P90, but both of them had quite a bit of fragmentation. So this one right here is from the P90. As you can see, it did not leave the jacket. As we already saw, it kind of fused itself together, the lead and the jacket, just mangled up expansion and fragmentation. And then this one here is from the 5.7. Now this is without the jacket. You can see nice little mushroom there. I did actually pull the jacket too. I'm gonna get measurements with and without the jacket just to kind of see how much fragmentation there was as far as the difference between the P90 and the 5.7. But really both of them, especially this P90, held together more than I was expecting. But let's measure them and see what we did lose. They both started at 40. This one from the PS90 is down to 24.4, so quite a bit of loss right there. This one from the 5.7, the little lead piece that actually was what really should be measured, it kept going the furthest. This is down to 16.8, so big loss right there without the jacket. Now if we put the jacket back on, that brings it to 29.4, so actually 5 grains heavier than that P90. So if it would have stayed with the jacket, you would have lost 5 grains less than that P90. Now as far as the sizes, this is going to be kind of a mess, but we'll start with this P90 here. You got a diameter there of 346, and then a length of this whole mess here of 380. And then this one from the 5.7, if we measure just the lead part first, you got 217 and 225, and then this jacket measurement here, you got 356 and 261. And there you go, y'all, the Hornady Black 40 grain VMAX in 5.7 by 28. Really surprising performance right here. Again, I expected a whole lot more fragmentation, just to the point of really nothing left to keep going. I mean, I expected not even 12 inches of penetration just because you would have a massive fragmentation field, but it held on to a whole lot more material than I expected it to. So then I guess the question would be this versus the Hornady Critical Defense, which is your better option if you are going to carry 5.7. And I honestly think that's a hard choice right there. I am really a big fan of holding material, and I do believe the Critical Defense held more material than this did. It didn't get as much penetration though, which is very, very odd considering that this stuff fragmented so much. Even the PS90 out of that CD had some really short penetration, less than 12 inches, even though it held its material. So now, I think really if you're set on carrying 5.7 and had to choose between one of these two Hornady rounds, I might even say this Hornady Black would be the better choice. All right, y'all, I'm gonna call it right there for another pretty surprising 5.7 by 28 test. I expected, again, a whole lot more fragmentation out of this VMAX. I don't think I've ever tested the FN VMAX in gel just because of that. I expected it just to go all to pieces, and that's just really not the kind of performance I'm a fan of, so I just been really putting it down the list. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still not a fan of 5.7. This round, the CD, any round, I'm not carrying 5.7 unless I really don't have any other choice. I wouldn't call it my last choice, but again, it is far from my first choice. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. Those of y'all who do carry 5.7, do you carry any one of the Hornady rounds, the CD or this Hornady Black VMAX? If you do, which one do you carry? If you don't, or even if you do, which one of these performances do you think look the best to you? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed the video, take a second and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you've got those notifications on so you get notified when I upload stuff. Check out those affiliate links in the video description. Like I always ask you, anything you pick up after checking those links out, I get a kickback from them towards the channel, so I really do appreciate that. Again, a big thanks to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for showing the support to the channel. I've got one more thing planned for out here today, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.